So we got another story, and that is the other big story is that the shutdown is over. So let's dive right into that. If you like this content, please, and you wouldn't want to support the channel, consider joining us as a member of the Courageous Army on YouTube. Really appreciate y'all rolling up. Here we go.
Yeah, nearly a month and a half of a shutdown that the Democrats caused, and for nothing. They've achieved nothing, which is why their base and so many of them are angry, or at least pretending to be angry about this cave that they're calling it, which is interesting because I was watching that event last night in the Oval, and President Trump is signing a bill to end the shutdown, a Republican president surrounded by Republicans who are applauding. They're the party that voted 15 times to keep the government open or to reopen the government, while Democrats voted no all the way up until the last couple of days, while the Democrats also claimed it was a Republican shutdown. Make that make sense. It doesn't. The only explanation that tracks at all is what Speaker Johnson said about the internal politics of the Democratic Party and leadership being absolutely terrified of the base. As one Senate Democrat source told The Hill a few weeks ago, they had multiple Democrats who were eager to reopen the government quite some time ago, but they were afraid of the proverbial, quote, guillotine from their own voters. That is the story here.
Exactly. So the shutdown is officially over. The government is refunded through the end of January, and that is the reason why I believe the Democrats are trying with this latest Epstein hoax. They need to change the news cycle. They need to change the narrative, because right now the news cycle is all about the fact that they caved, that the shutdown ended with a whimper, that it was the Democrat shutdown. It was not the Republican shutdown. They're getting lambasted by everybody. And so they're trying desperately to change the news cycle. Well, it's not working. All right. So here you've got Speaker Johnson announcing last night that the shutdown was officially over, and doing so with some aplomb, I might add, because he again pins it right back where it belongs. Check this out.
Very relieved tonight. The Democrat shutdown is finally over, thanks to House and Senate Republicans who stood together to get the job done. Absolutely no question in anybody's mind now that the Democrats were responsible for this. What happened? Millions of American families went without food on their table. You had millions of Americans stranded in airports with their flights canceled and delayed. You had troops and federal employees wondering where their next paycheck would come from. The Democrats openly admitted, many of them said it in their own words, that they used the American people as leverage in this political game. They knew that it would cause that pain to the people, and they did it anyway. They did it for their own selfish purposes, their political purposes, and it was a game they played with real people's lives. It's something that is very difficult to forgive. I want to say that all this was utterly pointless and foolish. This outcome was totally foreseeable. I said that this would be the outcome when all this began back in mid-September. They did it anyway. Democrats admitted that they used the people as leverage, and they got nothing for their selfish political stunt here. They didn't achieve anything with this at all. And anyone who studied history would know that shutdowns never yield any positive result. It just hurts people. I said on the House floor a little while ago that we did all this in good faith. From the very beginning, I was insistent about this. Our leadership team was. The Republicans did the right thing. We had a nonpartisan continuing resolution. We didn't have any Republican priorities on it at all. We just said, in good faith, let's keep the lights on. Let's keep this going for another 7 weeks so that the Congress can do its work, so they can get.
So here you got Speaker Johnson laying it out. Yes, they voted 15 times on a clean CR. They didn't put any Republican priorities in it. So next time I say, when we get to the CR problem, actually I take that back. I would say, let's load it up with Republican priorities. But then the next time they could say it's a Republican shutdown. So we'll see. We'll see if the Dems have a stomach for a fight next time, at which point I think I would load it up with Republican priorities. And if the Dems balk, then give them a clean CR. Then they have no excuses. Then they can't even say it's a Republican shutdown because the Republicans would have caved. Now, if the Democrats aren't spoiling for a fight and there's a whole bunch of Republican priorities in there, you might be able to get something over the line. I say it's worth a shot. But anyway, you got Speaker Johnson. Now, check this out, because here's Trump actually signing the continuing resolution into office last night. It was a great thing. Here we go. All right. Now, I want to play 2 more clips because this is absolutely the Democrat shutdown. And that's why the Dems are trying to change the narrative, because they know they're getting lambasted over this whole thing. They know they look stupid. They know they look weak. Here's a constituent right now talking about the fact that this is a Democrat shutdown.
To do this while we have the leverage.
Of course, there will be families that are going to suffer. But it is one of the few leverage times we have.
You reopen the government and we lose our leverage, there has to be an agreement right now. That's what this whole shutdown is about.
Republicans control the House, the Senate, and the White House. Frankly, this is our only moment of leverage.
The idea that you would give up all of your leverage and then hopefully get some sort of great deal coming down the pike is just a fool's errand.
Why are working families the leverage the Democrats need to get Obamacare fixed?
It's the only lever we have.
Democrats have this one little sliver right now when we've got some leverage here.
Some Republican senators have pushed a bill that would pay government workers.
I think that just gives the president more leverage.
Catherine was basically expressing, in her own words, the notion that our leverage right now are our votes.
Them wanting to solve the problem that we want to solve, but do it in a couple of days or a couple of weeks when we've given up our negotiating leverage.
Without that leverage, the minority party, would be stuck in the mud and not basically have anything to negotiate.
As much as y'all want to blame Republicans for the shutdown, the Democrats just showed you and told you that they're using us for leverage.
Exactly. He says it. He nails it right there. This entire shutdown was about leverage to try to push ridiculous ultra-left Democrat policy points. They wanted 2 major things: free healthcare for illegals and $800 billion in subsidies to their insurance company donor friends. They wanted to keep the charade that is Obamacare going by leveraging almost $1 trillion a year in healthcare subsidies to artificially keep premiums down, because they don't want to admit what everybody now is starting to figure out: Obamacare is a disaster. The ACA has done nothing but drive premiums up and drive quality down. It is, whenever the government does anything, it is exactly what happens. Whenever the government does anything in the free market, where they impede on the free market, they screw it up, they drive prices up, they drive quality down, which is why our founding fathers were very, very prescient in making a very limited government. The only thing really that the government was supposed to get its hands into were things that the private commercial enterprise could not do. They cannot fund and operate a military. They cannot fund and operate national law enforcement. They cannot fund and operate surveillance, intelligence gathering. They cannot fund and operate foreign policy. Those were the things reserved to the government. Everything else was either a matter for the states and or for private enterprise. He nails it exactly. This was all about the Democrats trying to keep their donors happy and trying to keep illegals funded with free healthcare so that illegals would keep coming to the United States. All right, check this out, because Stephen Miller goes off and he absolutely shuts this down. He ties a bow around this whole thing in beautiful Stephen Miller fashion. Check this out.
Well, look, you've really been exactly right on tonight when you said this is all about Chuck Schumer and Hakeem Jeffries being terrified of the Mondami wing, the AOC wing of the Democrat Party, understanding that they're not in control of anything anymore. It is a communist party. Is it an America Last party? It is a party that puts illegals over citizens, criminals over cops, cheaters over hardworking taxpayers at every level. This shutdown was an example of just how little the Democrats care about Americans. They forced our national security workers to go without pay. They forced Americans to be stuck at airports, flights canceled at levels never seen before in history. Why? All for what? $1.5 trillion of demands, including free health care for illegal aliens, to bloat the government, to steal from taxpayers, to steal from working Americans. And at the end, after over 40 days, what did they get? Nothing. Defeated, humiliated, disgraced. But in the meantime, they sucked billions of dollars in wealth out of the economy. Think about the contrast, Sean. President Trump bringing trillions of investment into America, giving Americans trillions of dollars in tax cuts. And what did Democrats do in their big moment? They steal hardworking money from our taxpayers, they cancel their flights, and they destroy billions of dollars in economic value. You will not see a clear contrast. The Democrats are the party of destruction. President Trump is leading the party of creation, opportunity, and wealth.
Absolutely. Stephen Miller nails it. The Democrats did nothing but suck money out of the economy, use people and their pain as attempted leverage, and then failed in doing it because Donald Trump has taught the Republicans how to fight. 10 years ago, the Republicans would have caved like a house of cards, like a cheap suit. It would have been ugly. But Donald Trump has actually taught them how to fight these Democrats. He's given them a spine and a backbone and has basically said, no, we are not going to roll over. We are going to play the political games, which is why you've got Republican states gerrymandering. Finally, Democrat states have been gerrymandered out the wazoo for decades. Finally, you've got Trump pushing, prodding, pulling, coercing almost the Republican red states to do their own gerrymandering, to level the playing field. We see this in the government shutdown. Trump said, hell no, we are not giving away $800 billion to insurance companies, and we are not giving free healthcare to illegals. Not going to happen. No. And if that means the government has to stay shut down, we're just going to pin this right where it belongs on the Democrats. So here we are. The shutdown is over. Air traffic control is back to work. Everybody's back to work. So let me know what you think in the comments. I really appreciate everybody rolling up. Stephen Miller is a beast. He is absolutely awesome. Hey guys, thanks so much for being here. Please smash that like button if you haven't already. Subscribe, turn on the notifications. And if you could, share Courageous Media. And please, if you want to support the channel, please join us as a member of the Courageous Army on YouTube or Patreon. Really appreciate you rolling up. Remember, God is good and he is sovereign. It will all be good in the end. Till I catch you next time. Have a great day.